Hello and welcome to the latest Books Crypto Club catch-up on Zoom. This is a weekly session that we have where we discuss all things crypto, whether it's blockchain, cryptocurrencies, digital assets, DeFi, NFTs, or anything else that's going on in the crypto space in any way. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on the like button or smash that comment button, stick something in there, please add things, or even come along to one of our future sessions. Everyone's welcome, whether you're a novice, an expert, or anything in between whatsoever. So we never know exactly what we're going to talk about in these sessions. It's open to whoever comes along and what they want to talk about. So let's see who's going to join us today.
Hello.
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, thanks. Another crazy week in the world of crypto with Bitcoin rocketing up.
A profitable week.
Yeah.
Very profitable. So yeah, happy days.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see entire crypto markets past 2 trillion again. So that's always a good sign. I was just taking a look at some of the numbers before I came onto the call to see what was going on. And it's certainly encouraging that with the numbers going up, which is great. And Bitcoin's dominance down to 44% as well. So things are gradually decaying away, which means ultimately, I guess, we're going to see less and less price correlation between cryptos, which makes it interesting.
The uncoupling, as they say. But, I think Bitcoin's got a lot of upside. I've been looking at different price predictions. Have you heard of Plan B?
Yep.
Yeah, he's really predicting very good things, and he seems to have got things right a lot in the past. And I know with technical analysis, people get things right until they don't. But he's talking about 288,000 as a maximum.
Okay.
So yeah, I know. Like the thing seems like a dizzy price until it doesn't. To use your way of speaking. So
at
the moment, that just seems like crazy. But when Bitcoin was at 60k, I bet no one thought it would be half that and trading between 30 and 42k.
Well, you look at I've just got the chart up at the moment, and the point at which it went past 10k was when it started. It went exponential for a while, in effect, over a period. It went from 10k at the back end of 2020, and then absolutely rocketed and kind of like peaked out at about 57k towards 60k. So a six-fold increase in a year shows what it was capable of doing. So I guess it could do that again. Yeah.
Just so scarce. It's just such a scarce. All that lost Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm feeling bullish again, but not within realms of stupidity. Like if I saw it get to 288, I would be surprised. I'm still thinking around half. Really, I'm being quite conservative, I guess, but certainly 100,000 is a key price for a lot of people.
Yep.
I think it's going to go above that. I think we're going to see a bit of a retracement though soon, because if you look at those green candles, that can't go on forever.
Yeah, but if you look at what the trend is at the moment with the most recent type stuff, and this is why I do think there's always value if you're looking at charts to look at different time periods. Yeah. And this is where you sometimes look at the long-term trend and you go, oh, that's really, really good. And then you look at the short term, it's like, it looks pretty flat at the moment. So you look at what Bitcoin's been doing in the last couple of days, it has kind of like flattened out somewhat. It seems to be it's channeling at the moment.
That 50k seems to be very stubborn, but it's a Sunday. We shouldn't even been trying to go over the 50k on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like this is retail money, isn't it? Like this isn't the big institutions, and especially the biggest institutions are in the United States, right? They're not working right now, are they? Are they working? I don't think they are.
Well, the thing is that a lot of the big institutions these days, it's not their headquarters that are doing the trading anyway. So it may be they've got, as it was found with JP Morgan, I think, where they were doing some trading out of a crypto desk they created in Scandinavia, I think. Yeah. So I wouldn't always link in where a company is based with where it's actually doing its trading. So I know I used to work in the oil industry, and even though our office was in London, we were doing a lot of trading in Singapore, for example. And I think it's the same with crypto in some ways, that it's not all done just via the one place. So
yeah, I'd imagine I can see how that'd be the case, but you think that, let's just say, traditional markets, in the States open between X time and X time.
Well, there is always the thing, isn't there? They reckon there is a degree of predictability with Sundays, and at one point I put it down to the crypto club running on a Sunday evening, because whenever we had a meeting, I think within a few hours there would quite often be a spike in the price. It would suddenly kind of like wake up. Now the reality was it wasn't actually because of the crypto club. It was that Asia was waking up, because it's Monday morning in Asia. So when you get into 9 o'clock UK time, that's the time that South Korea and places are beginning to open up.
Yeah, I mean, they might have. The thing is that 50K level, that kind of psychological resistance level, it's failed to break so far. So sometimes I've woken up in the morning and the Asian market has been killing it. Like when they go on a buying spree, it pumps like crazy. I love it when that happens. Anyway,
well, I think a lot of it's bot based as well. That it's automated trading. And so when you hit certain thresholds or resistance levels or barriers, when it goes through those, I think the bots just go, woohoo, it's fun times, and they kind of wake up. And that then has a compounding effect, because you get this thing, and you've seen it in traditional financial markets. I mean, this is what caused one of the great crashes years ago on one of the US markets, where the bots start effectively not interacting with each other, but being affected by each other. So, a big buy order would come in because the price had hit a certain number, and that would trigger a bot to also go and buy, which would trigger another bot to go and buy, which would knock the prices up, which would trigger other bots to buy in there. So I wonder how much of that is actually automated trading on the crypto side of things.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to start getting into doing like a few careful longs. I think I'm going to start dipping my toe into that and just putting minor amounts of money on it and see how I do during this bull run. Because you think the time to put longs on is when we go through we break through certain resistance levels, and then we come back down and bounce off it. Then that's the time really to put a long on for some things. But Ethereum has been stuck at. Ethereum's due a run. You get trends, don't you? You get certain kinds of like ADA has been killing it. ADA's been absolutely killing it, but it can't do it forever. And so then those traders they'll take the money out of ADA and then they're going to put it into Ethereum. Ethereum hasn't broken $3,300 resistance yet, and when it does, it's party times. So I can say, it makes me think, should I just take my ADA out and put it into Ethereum?
Okay.
I'm really starting. I'm not confident enough to do things like that yet, but like if I start to see that maybe over a bit of time I should be doing this, like it's just all about those key Fibonacci's, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've just pulled up the Ethereum chart at the moment, because a bit like how Bitcoin went through its hype. I mean, Ethereum hit just over $4,000 in, was it June? And then it kind of like decayed away from there. at the moment it's kind of like trading the 332, 331, 32. But again, if you look at the chart, it's got this beautiful run of green candles going up, which is fairly consistent. And again, this chart is quite similar to Bitcoin's in a way, that you had a whole period where it was worth, I mean, this $400 mark was probably the equivalent of Bitcoin's $10,000 mark, where it suddenly then went up, from 400 to 4,000. So tenfold increase, which is actually better than what Bitcoin did, because Bitcoin went from 10,000 to 60,000. And then you have this retracement for a while where it dropped back down again to, just under 3, I think it was, or just around 3. And then it's done this recovery again, which is exactly the same as Bitcoin, but it's gone up from, what's that, 2,000 up to 3.2. So that's over 50%.
I mean, I think it got to 1,800. But the good thing for me was that in this bearish period, I just had the confidence that I thought, this bull market isn't done. This is just a manufactured low. And I thought, right, time to cash in. So I bought and bought and bought. And so many family members who were like, oh, it's gambling and stuff like that. I've looked especially smug at this moment, because I've more than 2x my original investment at this point. So I wouldn't quite say it's Lambo time, but it's second-hand good car time.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling cautiously optimistic, but I know this is just the beginning. We got until I think December-ish, around that time, and there's going to be some really stunning gains. The FOMO is going to get real. A lot of retail people are going to come in too late, and they're going to get ruined. So that's what they're going to go all in. Bitcoin will be going up and up and up and up and up. Say if it goes to 100,000 and it goes to 120,000, it doesn't show any signs, real signs of stopping. The FOMO, can you imagine the FOMO? Oh, it's gone to 100,000. So, we think it's going to go to 200,000. And the FOMO, all that dumb money, all right, is going to come in. People are going to go all in. They're going to put 6,000, 5,000, 10,000 life savings in. They're going to get wrecked. Yeah. So they'll make some money. They'll make some money initially. They might make a 50% gain. They might double. They might double that original investment. Depends how far Bitcoin can go. But then it will plummet. I saw BitBoy make a video today, and he said, "Don't invest in crypto."
Really?
I could not believe it. I could not, because he's like the moon boy, isn't he? Everyone says he's the moon boy.
Well, what did he say? Did he say invest in YouTube instead?
No. He said, "Look, it's too late. You're only going to make to him, only making a 2x. He's made a lot of money out of crypto, as we all know. He's made a lot of money. He's only made a 2. He's saying you can only make a 2x at this point.
Okay.
If that was his opinion. So don't invest now. It's actually quite good advice. What he's saying is, when he's saying don't invest now, I don't think he really means don't invest now. I think he's don't remortgage your house and invest now. I think is what he's saying. He's saying wait for this market to play out, and then from a year from now, when the market's at its bottom, then put your money in, which is completely what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 60% of my portfolio out when we get to a certain level of Bitcoin, which means I'm well up on my original investment. And then I'm going to try and capture a very high point of market. Then I'm going to cash out the rest of mine, and I'm going to leave it a year and reinvest in a year's time on the Bitcoin. I'm just looking at Bitcoin super cycles, really.
Well, I suppose the other thing as well, it's funny because you're saying about how your relatives think that you're gambling. Actually, anything to do with finances, whether it's your pension, your deposit account, your current account even, or cash, whether it's crypto, whether it's shares, or whether it's casino chips, they are all forms of gambling. If they were not gambling in some way, if they were all completely predictable in terms of the future, then it would either be an incredibly low rate of interest, which would be eroded by inflation anyway, or it'd be something that's just not worth doing. So this the thing, I have this conversation with people who say, oh yeah, it's gambling. It's like, yeah, so it's gambling to not do it as well, because inflation is the thing that's going to eat your future.
Well, most people don't understand this, do they? Because it's like, they're kind of like, without being too disrespectful, financial sheep. So, most people don't make life-changing wealth. And why don't they make life-changing wealth? Because they don't understand the rules of the financial game. They don't understand that the government's not your friend. They don't understand that the banks are not your friend. They don't get this. They don't get that the whole financial system is rigged so that you cannot make money from savings.
Mm-hmm.
That is just a fact. That's an economic fact. And I think people, maybe without realizing it, are starting to wake up. Like, some people are buying collectibles, and that's why you're seeing these things accrue in value. And housing, people are willing to put money in a house and see that grow, go over time. It's just, the thing is with the crypto market, it's like a housing market, which has a big upscale and has a little bear market, and then you're back to an upscale again. No, crypto is just like that, but it's a very, very increased sense of speed. Yeah, so like the speed of a crypto market with its fluctuations and volatility, it's like any market. It's just faster in a lot of ways, and you just really got to get your timing right. You got to look, and you have to be very educated. You have to look and research and be very careful, and you have to look into intense levels of technical analysis to get good at it, I think.
Yeah. It'd be something, people talk more and more about technical analysis. I might see if we can set up some sort of training session with people at some point, or maybe we could go through, if we get a group of us together and talk about everyone's 10 favorite technical indicators, or something, and actually look at how people are using them and why they're using them as well. Because I'm a firm believer that in the crypto market, technical analysis works simply because you can use it to predict the behavior of everyone else who's using it. And that's all it is. If you're all using the same tool and you're all using the same sort of calculations, and you've all got similar kind of profiles, which is where it starts going down, because different people have got different risk appetites in there. But ultimately, everyone, when they see certain signals, will treat them as a way to go. But it's a way to go because everyone else is using those signals as well, and they're likely to do the same.
I think a lot of people I'm being a bit conservative. I'm like, really, if I was a bit braver, I'll just take the money I've made out of ADA and I'll put it into Ethereum now, because I can see it's accumulating. Over the last couple of days, it hasn't broken 3,300. And eventually, Ethereum, it did have a nice little run when the hard fork happened, but that's kind of calmed down a bit. So this is what crypto coins do, don't they? They have a nice up in a bull market, a very nice upsurge, and then they accumulate for a while. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be just a couple of days, but they have an accumulation pattern, right? And then or a correction, and then it's up, it's up to the next one. Like, they go through these runs. So I think it's
well, it's funny. I've just pulled up the ADA price on Binance as a comparison with all the others that I've been looking at, and again, it's quite a similar pattern, that you've got a long period of nothingness, until, what was that, 21st of December 2020, where it was, which it was at 0.18 or something. Then it went through that really good run where it peaked out at 2.2. Yeah. And then just like the way Bitcoin and Ethereum did, and I don't know if the timescales overlap, but suspect they probably did. It dropped away from 2.2, decayed eventually down to 1.1, and has suddenly leapt recently, since the end of July, or the beginning of this month, really, has leapt from like 1.2 up to 2.5. So it's more than doubled in 3 weeks.
That's incredible. Like, that is literally like that is, when you get all those juveniles writing, "Oh, to the moon, to the moon." That is
Mhm.
to the moon. That graph is to the moon, but it's the fundamentals of ADA, though, isn't it? Like, I'm a fundamentals man. I'm looking
Mhm.
at coin, like I'm looking at good fundamentals, and it's Charles Hoskinson. I just think he's a genius. I just think he's so intelligent. He's so good at marketing his brand. He's such a good speaker. The vision he's got for it, and the way that Cardano have marketed their product, and they've timed it. Now, why would you time it for a bear market? Of course you wouldn't. He's timed it for this bull market. Everything, like it's just such, the way they've built little communities all around the world. Yeah, they've built this like Cardano community. I think it's one of the coins the biggest communities in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's pretty amazing.
well, I guess it falls out that he learned that from Ethereum. In that the thing that really stood apart with Ethereum in the early days was that the team, the foundation, and the people involved in it did a brilliant job at creating community. And they set up groups around the world. They set up developer forums, total user and supporter engagement and that. And I think the community involvement thing that is something that they definitely got right with Ethereum. And I think Charles has picked up on that and has built on it for the ADA community, as you said, which I think's got a very strong community in Asia as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
In Japan, I saw that they've got like, I don't know, some kind of ATM, and it had Cardano in on it. I was like, really? That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, I mean, Cardano's had a lot of upside. I think it's going to overheat a bit. I can't see it continuing.
Yeah.
It needs a little rest for a week or two, or a little correction, like a 10% correction, and then but then, saying that, if Bitcoin, let's say the Asian market just pumps Bitcoin over 50K, is ADA not going to pump a little bit as well? Like, is that beyond the realms of imagination? I mean, I don't know, or are they going to decouple? It's a very interesting phenomenon to look at, like decoupling from crypto. But certainly the market's getting very greedy. People talking about a lot of altcoins. One that's come to mind is Crow.
Yeah.
I mean, they have also done some very good marketing. Did you see they're all over Formula One and UFC?
Yeah.
So they're clearly targeting. I mean, it's intelligent marketing, because who buys into crypto? I think 9 out of 10 people are men, and it's very popular in America. You think of Formula One, it's got quite an affluent market base, hasn't it? So you're looking for men of a certain age and a certain level of education that are who possibly know people who are already in crypto and making money, and then they're going to get a lot of FOMO. So they've done that really well. And if you think about the Binance coin, it smashed it, hasn't it? It's done really well. It's done really well as a coin. It was number 3 on market cap before ADA overtook it. So that's a very successful coin, isn't it? If you think about it. So crypto.com, in the time that Binance has had all this financial legality kind of woe, in that time, well, crypto.com has tried to fill the void, and more than that, crypto.com is developing and developing. Like you've got a crypto.com DeFi wallet. Okay, that's what I used. That's the first thing that I ever used to make a purchase. I purchased World Mobile Token on that. They've also just got an exchange. They've opened up an exchange where you can buy multiple foreign currencies and do a lot more kind of different types of trading.
So they're doing fiat onto that, on fiat on ramp.
I think they are. I mean, I've just had a little look at it. But what I'm seeing is as I say every week, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I do a lot of reading every single day. I'm a historian. That's what I like to do. I like to do my research. And crypto, what happens is you start to notice that certain coins start to get shielded.
Mm-hmm.
They get attention. They start to get shielded. And when they're shielded by what I'd say is like high quality YouTubers such as Satoshi Stacker, and he's one of my favorite, by the way. Satoshi Stacker, I think, is very, very good on Fibonacci's, and resistant. I watch him every single day. Every morning he releases a video, which is good, like kind of GMT time. and he just got all he really does is he looks at resistance and support levels within different coins and explains what he thinks is probable and what he thinks is possible.
Okay.
And like I used to watch him and he would say, well, it could do this, and I just think, well, if you're saying it could do that or could do that, then you're not really making a sound prediction here. But no, I actually realise now, after being in the game for like about, I don't know, 8 months into crypto now, what he's really doing is trying to show you what is possible and what is probable.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes some good videos. He's really got a lot of, his following's gone up a lot.
Well, this is, I've just pulled up his site now on YouTube. Sorry, his YouTube channel. He's got like 218,000 subscribers, which is pretty decent. And it looks like, a good selection of topics that he's covering out there. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know, I've subscribed to him recently. Like
on TA.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's probably from anyone who's watching this video afterwards, go and check out Satoshi Stacker.
He's got a really interesting accent. I think he's from Brazil or South America. It's like, his name's Cristiano. You never see his face. He just has the charts up. He starts with Bitcoin, and he looks at other coins which are hot or big on market. So he's looked at a lot of Ethereum, a lot of ADA, and then if XRP starts or one, it'll just show you where the resistance and support points are, and what he thinks, and he understands all the different, like head and shoulders and rising and descending wedges. A lot of the rudimentary technical analysis, which I've developed, has really been through watching a lot of his videos.
Okay.
Not only his, but I just think he's kind of my go-to guy, and he puts it in about 10 to 15 minutes every day. So he doesn't do it too long. He doesn't seem to be a moon boy. He just tries to describe what is possible and what is probable. So, yeah, good guy to watch. But yeah, he basically shielded, I don't know, or promoted crypto, the crypto.com coin. I've been reading about on a few websites. I've been looking on Facebook forums, and you just see a coin get mentioned more and more. You think, right, well, this is due a little pump. Like,
well, that's the thing. I watch Tony Vays quite a lot because I think he's kind of interesting because he focuses just on one coin, which is Bitcoin, and he just tends to stick around that. But he does some lives which are quite good, where he pops on from wherever he is in the world, which seems to be Miami a lot these days. But it's quite interesting because, again, he goes into some of the technical analysis, and his background, if I remember correctly, is Wall Street traditional financial services trading, and he switched into crypto a while ago, and he appears to have done really well. But what I like about some of the stuff that he talks about is that he describes the indicators and what his thinking is, but he is open to the thing of, well, this could mean it goes up or it could mean it goes down. I don't know. And so what he kind of is open to is the very fact that there's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah. And so he gives you an indication as to what his kind of strategy is of dealing with things. But he is quite open with saying, well, right now, the way the market is, I've not got a clue what's going on. I'm just going to stay clear or whatever type thing. So,
just hodl. I mean, what Satoshi's good at, he's good. He's good. He was really good at calling the bottom. And he's like, look, just if you want to put an order in, like, you want to put it at like key support levels, like, or if you want to put a long or a short on, like, this is where I think you should do it. And like, when Bitcoin broke 42K, I thought he was just going to break 42K and go straight up. But actually, it breaks 42K, then it comes back down. It finds support on there. Mm-hmm. It bounces off a couple of times. Then that's when you want to put a long on, or then that's when you want to invest at that level. Because then clearly it's shown, well, that's the new support level, and there's going to be some upside from there. So it's just about learning these like kind of rudimentary things as you're going along. But the thing about crypto, like, to get anywhere near good at it, you need to just obsess. You need to completely obsess. I actually started writing a blog.
Well, But I keep pointing out to people that crypto is no different from any other financial investment type thing or marketplace, that typically around 80% of people are going to lose money through it. And typically everyone always thinks they're the 20%. Everyone always goes, oh yeah, everyone else loses money in this space, but I'm not going to, type thing. So in some respects, there's no difference there. But you're right, it is good when people write blogs about what their thinking is and what the decision making is, because it then allows them to go back and say, did I call that right or not? The problem is most people who write the blogs tend to hedge themselves, and they won't stick the necks out, which is why, at least if you say, oh yeah, I think 21st of September is going to be the date when it happens, that's great. That's at least, well, it's putting your head in a noose, but at least it's laying a marker down where you think, something's going to happen because of X, Y, and Z on this date or whatever. But most of the bloggers and most of the YouTubers, they tend to be, oh, well, this may happen, this may not. And where they're talking about things like transactional analysis, it's incredible just how good people are at doing transactional analysis after the event. It's always the, oh, well, if you look back to what happened last month, here's a classic double head and shoulders developing, or here's a death cross, and here's a blah, 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 blah type thing. And they're always very, very good at proving that in hindsight, they can look at charts to go, right. I used to love it. I used to go to a couple of events run by traditional trading firms. So I've forgotten the names of them now, but they were like SocGen, and some of the banks did it, but some of the trading firms did it as well. And that was great because they'd actually plug you into their live trading desk. So you'd actually go along to somewhere in London and they'd plug you in. So you'd actually be listening to their traders live, making their predictions and everything. And that was really, really good because it showed the speed at which the markets go, for stocks and shares or for FX trading. But at least you got a feeling for, these people who are actually doing it for real, as opposed to the, oh, now if I just pull up this chart from last week and we can see this obvious thing now, it's like, well, if it was obvious, did you invest a load last week because it was so obvious? Have you now retired with your third Lamborghini type thing? It's like, oh no, you didn't. Wasn't that obvious then, was it?
I think the problem with the markets is that these professionals, they play them counterintuitively. So, 60% of the time when you have a rising wedge, that's actually a bearish pattern. You're going to see a downside. But, the traders know this. They know that most of the time that a rising wedge is bearish. So then they might, well, actually, what we're going to do, we're going to put some huge longs on, and we're going to create a little short squeeze. Or so those markets, I think they're played so intelligently and counterintuitively at times that they do things that you don't expect or that you shouldn't expect to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the challenge comes in, because you think, well, like should I invest a lot more money here, or should I do it? In the back of your mind, you're thinking. So I mean, I just generally go by the rules where I think one of the best things I did, I just looked at the Bitcoin cycles early on, and I looked at the Bitcoin bull runs, and I just looked at like basically the bull run lasts for like 540-ish days each time, and then there's a bear market, and a year after the bear market is the lowest point of Bitcoin. Okay. This has happened numerous times. So I know that the past doesn't always repeat, but often rhymes.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best guide to go by, and like say we're at 50k now. Like, is it possible that would be the end of the bull run? Well, it is possible, but is it probable? I'd say 95% no. No, at this moment, 95% no. So those odds are then stacked to my favour to make some further gains. Now, when we start getting higher, like 70, 80, 90,000. Could that be the end of the bull run? Well, those chances are a lot higher. So that's when I start taking money out. That's when I start taking profits out. Yeah, to alleviate that risk. So I think the problem is when I first came in, I just dumped some money into crypto. All these things I'm talking about, I didn't have a clue about any of this. I didn't know. I just put like a load in. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what the dumb money, uneducated money, they just throw money in. They haven't got a clue that you're supposed to dollar cost. They don't know. They don't know what dollar cost average even means. Yeah, like people don't know what these terms mean. So they're playing these markets, and it's like a criminal talking to the police without a solicitor. Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah, there are times when you really should execute your right to remain silent. But you're right. I've had a few conversations with a few people, both in real life, on WhatsApp, on Facebook groups and that kind of thing, where they start talking about things like dollar cost averaging. And you say, you realize dollar cost averaging only works in stuff that's priced in dollars. And if you're buying an altcoin, for example, which is only available in Bitcoin or Ethereum, you can't technically dollar cost average. So what do you actually mean by dollar cost average? And they go, right, okay, well, what I mean is just keep buying more as it gets cheaper. It's like, okay, yeah, well, that's one way of describing it. So why do you keep buying it because it's getting cheaper? It's like, oh, it's because I know it's going to go down in price more. Okay, so let's extend that a bit further. If you're certain it's going to go down in price more, why don't you wait until it's gone down in price more before you buy it? And that's usually at the point where you get the expression on their face of, it comes up with blue screen of death or syntax error or crash something. And you go, well, if you know it's definitely going to go lower, then why don't you wait until it's gone lower and you've removed your risk? And it's so some of them don't get it.
I think I watched. There's another guy, he's Crypto Russ, and he's the guy that says, I think he's a Chinese American guy. He's got a very broad accent. He's like, and he always begins with, "Hi, I'm George. We are all George." I don't know. It's this weird little catchphrase, but he's what's really good about him? It's like he's so abrupt, and he just there's no plan. He just he kind of does it. He does it live, and he just he looks at a few things, looks at a few stats, and he's very knowledgeable. He's extremely knowledgeable. He's got about 350,000 subscribers, but he showed actually if you just dollar cost average into Bitcoin over the last 4 years, you would have a 4 or 5x on your money. So if you dollar cost averaged, I don't know, $10,000 over X amount of time, he showed the calculations. You would have a 4 or 5x.
Yep.
So with Bitcoin, it just seems like a certain win.
Well, but it's one of those things that I've seen some of the numbers on that kind of thing, and it is this whole, well, if you just keep putting in X dollars per week, month, whatever, that is true when a market is going up. And the great thing about crypto, and certainly Bitcoin and Ethereum, that I think it's with Bitcoin, as long as you've held for more than 4 years, at any point, so irrespective of when you've bought, if you've held for at least 4 years, then you are ahead. Now, that's true whilst the market continues to go up. The risk is that you might suddenly hit a turning point where Bitcoin loses favor and Ethereum or Cardano or whatever, or Bitcoin Cash, that they start taking the center stage. Bitcoin could potentially start dropping away, which means you're putting more and more money into something that's dropping and dropping in value, and you're not gonna realize that you're losing because you're still seeing the accumulated profits of your early investments.
Yes.
So it is something that you kind of need to be mindful. I did it for a while where I used to track the profit I was making on stuff that I'd held over a long time and the rate of profit I was making on the newer stuff, just to make sure I wasn't just putting it all into the one cradle kind of thing. And that was quite interesting because you go, so over time, I might be up 5% or whatever, but that's only because there's been a recent rush and it's gone up 20% and that's pulled me out of the dire, whatever type thing. So, but yeah, I think there's all sorts of options available on these kind of things. And it's where, again, I like to hear what other people's perspectives are and why they're doing certain things in certain ways. I've said for years the favorite one, rather than the equivalent of dollar cost averaging, but the concept's kind of similar, is that instead of having a cup of coffee each day, you just put the £2.50 or whatever that you're going to pay for your cup of coffee in a cup, and you save it up, and then you buy some crypto every few weeks with it.
Like buying it. Well, you're saying buying. Well, that's called dollar cost dipping, yeah. So
okay.
This is I learned this one, and sorry, I keep on plugging YouTubers. Altcoin Daily. So Altcoin Daily, I watched him, and he was saying, look, instead of dollar cost average, dollar cost dip. So say if you're going to put in £100 every week, okay, instead of doing that, save the money, maybe buy stable coins and some interest on them whilst you're waiting, and then wait for a significant dip and put it in. Okay, and then so like just keep on doing, like you can do that in a bear market and in a bull market. Just wait for those dips, just dips. Okay, and you keep on buying the dips, and if you even buy the dips, well, you're always getting everything on sale. So
okay.
There's a lot more effective upside. But I guess what I'm going to do is super do that with this Bitcoin super cycle if it continues. But what I'm kind of worried, and I've mentioned this like in my really early days, is the Black Swan event of 2022.
Right.
How's this? We still don't know how this is going to affect things.
I was just going to quickly say before we go on to that, for Zal, have you managed to join us at last?
Yeah, I've just joined you.
I've been chatting away to Sam here, and every few minutes I see Fazal is joining, Fazal is connecting via audio, and then you drop off again. So
yeah, I had a few connection problems, but no, I'm in now. So
cool. Yeah, you missed out. We've been having a really good conversation about the crypto market, as you'd expect, and technical analysis and trends and techniques like dollar cost averaging and dollar cost dipping. And we've had a bit of a chat about a few YouTube channels to check out as well. What was the last one again, Sam, that you said?
Oh, it's called Crypto R Us. So it's by, he calls himself George.
Yeah, I got that one. I stuck that one up.
Altcoin Daily.
Oh, that's George, isn't it? That's the yeah.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? He's got a good.
George is very good. Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to him for a few months now. He's very good.
But the other one is Altcoin Daily. So Altcoin Daily, they're all right as well. I mean, these are guys who are all in the hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I always think, sorry.
Well, there you go. I'll pull up Altcoin Daily just so that if anyone's watching this and they can't hear properly or whatever. But yeah, he's heading towards 1 million subscribers.
Done very well.
939,000 and a Twitter handle as well, which is always a useful one for following people. So there we go. There's my homework for the week of some new additional YouTube channels to start watching. But for Zal, are you a fan of any particular YouTubers or tweeters or anything?
I mean, like Samuel mentioned, I listen to Cryptos R Us. I've been listening to that George gentleman for about a few months now. But I think he's mainly, you get some that are very kind of Bitcoin fanatics, and I think he's got his feet on the ground. Yeah. But that's, I mean, he goes through it's quite interesting because he kind of shows you how to build your kind of portfolio and how much percentage you should have of Bitcoin and other coins. So yeah, so there's Cryptos R Us, and also the other one is CoinBureau.
He's brilliant.
Yeah,
he is brilliant. He is brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry, CoinBureau, did you say?
Yeah, it's done by I think it's a Yorkshireman, an English gentleman. Yeah,
he's a professional actor. I think the interesting thing about CoinBureau is the team. So the brains behind it is an ex banker from like, I don't know, like one of the major banks. I can't remember it.
Okay.
I think the guy that presents it, who's called Guy.
Yeah, Guy.
he calls himself Guy, he is a professional actor, which is why he's so smooth and good.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think they work as a team, and if you look at the production, of CoinBureau is the most successful crypto YouTube channel. It's even more, it's bigger than BitBoy, and BitBoy hates that. This CoinBureau is advertised on the Tube in London.
Yeah.
Done really well.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that guy was an actor, because you're right, they've got like 1.2 million subscribers. Because one of the things that frustrates me is that there's a lot of really useful information on that channel, which is presented in, for me, a stunningly boring way.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where, are you trying to make this boring? I compare it to there's totally different subject. There's a YouTuber called Spiffing Brit, who does videos on gaming, and he plays to the British accent and drinking Yorkshire tea and this kind of thing, and he shows you how to hack different computer games and that. But he's brilliant. I love the way he actually uses his voice and the intonation and everything like that to make it really, really funny and interesting. Whereas CoinBureau, it's like, are you actually doing it to intentionally pretend to be a boring robot?
It's very dry, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like this is why you should not let people use a teleprompter.
But this is why he's successful, though, because he's the reverse of a moon boy. BitBoy has, I think he's tried to tone it down now, because like he come across as like a Texan oil discovery, cowboy. But these guys, they're like, oh, it's going to reach this, and he's actually very conservative in his predictions. He's like, I think ADA's maximum going to get he's going to get $5. It's going to go to $5. Now, I personally think he's going to go quite a lot above that. But I think it's actually quite intelligent thing just to be conservative and just be completely different to everyone else on the market. I think that's his appeal.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I do like about CoinBureau is that he does cover the main news items. So it's a great way of finding out what's going on in the market, that kind of thing. And he does cover it at the right kind of level as well. So factually, absolutely spot on, but stunningly dull. so yeah, you're right. Maybe that's the appeal. That kind of he's a bit like that English comedian who does a really straight delivery of everything, and that's his kind of like unique thing. So maybe CoinBureau is similar. So okay, well, there's some useful things for anyone else who's watching as well of other channels to check out. That'll be good. So what else is going on in the news? Sam, you mentioned, funnily enough, World Mobile Token. They finished the token generating event the other day, didn't they? Because I think we were actually on the call last Sunday when I realized that it was 16 hours before they finished on that. And I see they raised $39 million, which is not bad going. And they're talking about doing telecoms in Tanzania, I think it is initially. Have you heard anything else?
I mean, they sent me an email. I mean, I will agree with you, actually. It was extremely convoluted to join up in their token sale. I had to present an identification and a bill. And this is the thing, everything's digitized. I don't have paper bills. Luckily, I had a letter from the Department of Work and Pensions about a pension, my teacher pension. I could use it. But yeah, they sent me an email to say that because the the Cardano smart contracts isn't open yet, they're actually going to have to send the tokens to our wallets. So my UI wallet, they're going to have to do it manually. I think it's going to take them quite a bit of time over the next couple of weeks. So they're going to send the tokens, and it's going to come into my UI wallet at the beginning of September. Is what they've said. So I've been active on the Cardano Facebook forums, and everyone's saying, what's actually going to be on there. And I've been talking about World Mobile Token, and it's on the front of Fulham's football kit, and blah blah blah, and it looks like this and it looks like that. And I've been trying to ask questions about price, and every time on the official Cardano Facebook group, you ask anything about price, they will delete. They delete your comments and they delete your post. They do not want you talking about price. They want you just, socialize over Cardano. So pretty irritating. I personally think that World Mobile Token is going to rocket off. There's going to be a lot of adoption onto Cardano. I'm a major Cardano bull. I think it's a brilliant project. I think that Charles Hoskinson is a genius, and I see a lot of upside. To be number 3 in the crypto world on market cap, and you haven't even released smart contracts yet. Yeah. There's got to be something very special there.
See, World Mobile Token I find really interesting because it seems fantastic, and as you say, it's built on the Cardano platform. It's done a lot of sponsorship. It's built a lot of credibility. Blah blah blah. But it's just at the point at which I hear certain things like manual distribution of tokens, the little remaining hairs on the back of my neck start going, I've heard this before.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end well. So we'll see. Hopefully it is just an overload or whatever. But I just get a little bit nervous when I hear things like that. So we shall see. Yeah.
My fingers are crossed.
But yeah, be good to see where that goes. And as you say, with it being on Cardano blockchain, that gives it the additional credibility in that. So yeah, a good one. Definitely worth watching.
The token itself, where do you buy that on PancakeSwap, or have you got to go to the official website?
Well, initially, I think what they wanted it to be decentralized. Okay, so they've offered it out to like your retail Joe Blogs, but then to actually buy it, like I recommended it to a couple of friends and say, look, I think this could go big, and they gave up. They just couldn't get. They couldn't even sign up. The sign up process was so convoluted.
I've heard it's convoluted. It's not straightforward, is it?
No, because you can't purchase it with fiat money. Okay, over a card. You had to purchase it in crypto. It's a very smart idea.
Okay.
You can't. So yeah, you have to buy it in Bitcoin.
That's actually quite normal for what was called initial coin offering, and then became a securities token offering, and now they're known as TGEs or token generating events. That is entirely normal because you're not listing it on an exchange straight away. And so you tend not to have the fiat ramps to be able to process payments. So I went through that with a few ICOs I was involved in, where you couldn't actually buy the token pre-sale until it went onto an exchange. You couldn't buy it pre-sale with fiat. So that's kind of normal. What I'm surprised by is, given how many ICOs, TGEs, and everything there have been, why it is still so difficult to have done. Because ultimately, it should just be about you creating a wallet, you're going through the KYC checking, which is, as you say, the pain of providing identity or whatever. You can get companies who'll do KYC, AML, and that kind of thing, checking for you for ICOs and that these days. And the whole idea of doing something like an exchange-based listing is that they do all of that, and it's all automated. It's a lot easier. So it just seems a little odd that it was so difficult.
Binance was really hard as a user. Like, look, I never bought anything in crypto before over a wallet. I've never done it. So I found Binance really hard to use, but I found the crypto.com DeFi wallet. Like, what I could not do in Binance over 2 hours, I managed on the crypto.com DeFi wallet in 5 minutes. Okay. So, but yeah, it wasn't a great user experience. I'll be honest. But it's quite interesting because they're using people who have bought the tokens as nodes, so you can become a node. So I think there's quite a lot of upside in this, basically.
Okay. Well, we'll see where it goes anyway. I see we've just got someone else joined us, Jay.
Hi there.
Coming in for the last few minutes. Hi, Jay.
Just joined.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, you've been missing out on some really interesting conversations today on all sorts of crypto stuff.
What time does it start? What time does it run to?
Usually we start 7 p.m. UK time.
Right.
For an hour? For an hour, that's right, yeah. So it was previously 5 p.m. I've pushed it back because people seem to prefer it later.
Okay.
So yeah, we do it each week, open to all. So it doesn't matter if you're a novice or an expert. We tend to have a mixture of people in between. What's your area of interest?
So I predominantly use stocks as an investment, but I'm kind of dabbling into crypto now.
Okay.
My biggest holding is Bitcoin. That's the one I understand the most.
Hmm.
And now I'm kind of getting into NFTs as well a little bit.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm someone that likes to understand what I'm doing, so I don't just invest in, in anything before understanding it. So I spent quite a lot of time just understanding Bitcoin. Once I understood it, I kind of got into that.
Okay.
And now slowly getting into other things. I got a little bit of Ethereum. To be honest, I'm still trying to understand that fully, but I got like a starter position, I would say. And then NFTs, Chili's and Sandbox are two NFTs, cryptocurrencies I've been really looking into because I understand them and I can relate to them.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do things that I can relate to mainly. And
there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And the more you learn, the more you realize how little you actually know.
Yeah.
And then it gets really interesting because then the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know about how normal money systems work.
Right.
So share trading, as you say, that that's one thing, and FX trading, that kind of thing. Once you start drilling into things like banking systems now, you suddenly realize you didn't understand how any of it worked.
Right.
So it's good. And NFTs certainly fascinating area at the moment. There's a lot of consolidation going on in digital art at the moment.
Right.
And there's some great growth in collectibles. And I think the real market for NFTs hasn't started yet. So I'm an advisor to multiple NFT projects. And I think that the real growth in NFTs is going to be when financial services start using them as means of tracking things like stocks and shares, ultimately. So I think that's when the market's going to really explode, and we'll see some more regulation. But then that means that we'll also get more companies moving into the space as well. So it should be good fun.
Yeah, I haven't actually gone into the financial side of NFTs. I thought that was more DeFi that handled that, but yeah, I need to get into that.
They're all blurring into each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I was involved in drawing up a Venn diagram recently, which kind of tried to describe blockchain, smart contracts, DeFi, NFTs, and something else, I think it was. I'm trying to work out where the circles intersect and overlap and what fits into what and everything. And eventually I said, like, it doesn't matter. It's just it's a landscape. This is roughly what it's like. So, but yeah, it's an interesting area. We've only got a few more minutes, so I like to finish this at 8. So I was going to offer to anybody, have you got any particular questions, news, things you'd really like to share? Open it to anybody. That's a no then.
I'll be joining next week though, earlier for sure.
Great, yeah. Well, it's open to all, as I say, and on my YouTube channel, we've got all the recordings as well. So we record this, we stick it up on there. Sometimes it might just be, it's like a fireside chat with Sam. That I think Sam and I quite often just end up chatting stuff. And Fazal comes on quite a lot. We also have a few other people who are quite often regulars as well, who are, some of them are more like day trader type things. So they get more involved in actively doing, one of them is particularly into scalping trades. So he comes up with some good insights. Got another guy, Peter, who works for a firm who actually do a lot of really interesting analysis of the data at the blockchain layer of what's going on with crypto. And so he looks at things like trading volumes and wallets in use and all sorts of stuff like that. He adds some good value as well. And we've got people from all around Europe, sometimes get some people coming in from Germany. and wherever else. So yeah, so do come along next week.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Cool. So nothing from anybody else then. Sam, you're shaking your head. Nothing to add there.
I've talked so much, already. I wanted to give people a chance. But Jay, feel free to add me on Facebook if you like. I talk about crypto all the time. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. No problem.
Cool. Well, as we're at 8 o'clock then, what I suggest is I'll say thank you to everyone who came along today. Thanks for sharing the info and the knowledge. And for anyone who wants to rewatch it later on, got YouTube, which I'll put up later on today, which has also got the list of all the YouTube things that we were talking about earlier on. So all the other channels that we're subscribing to. So cool. So folks, hopefully speak to you next week. As I always say, go and wash your hands and be safe.
Thank you. See ya.
Cheers. Bye now. Bye.